When you're working with an aluminum propeller blade, one of the things that happens is they get damaged. Here, when we're going to simulate damage by hitting it against the vise, and you'll see that there is some damage, very typical of an aircraft that took off on a gravel strip and a rock was thrown into the propeller. Usually the damage occurs on the leading edge, and we're going to have to remove it. The CARS 571 Appendix D has instructions for how to do this. One of the key things it notes is to maintain the profile of the propeller blade. I'm going to get the camera down here and we can have a look at the leading edge, and we want to continue the leading edge and make sure that it has a nice shape. It also says that we have to remove 10 times the damage going lengthwise as it is deep, and we want to also make sure we remove enough off the camber. There's a caution in there to make sure you remove enough off the camber to maintain the airfoil shape. When we do our milling and machining, we're going to make sure that all of our machining marks move lengthwise, spanwise down. No chordwise movement of the files should be done, and that's going to prevent stress risers from showing up on the leading edge of our wing. Now, when we do this job, we got to get some special, not so special tools out. You definitely don't want to be using a die grinder. Big no-no. No using the die grinder. That's right. You tempted to pick it up, but then no. Put the die grinders away. The die grinders can change the heat treatment of the material, which we don't want to do. So leave that in the toolbox. To do this job, we want to use a file. I prefer using that round file and some sandpaper. Here we go, getting started. I'm going to use my file. I'm going to make spanwise cuts, and I'm going to work at getting rid of the material. Now this one has kind of mushroomed out in the front. I'm going to start with the face of the blade, and I'm going to work my way back until I got that nice and flat. Now we just got this in the vise. You want to get this into a similar position on the propeller blade. You just have to hold it between your arm and your leg, and you can get in there and you can sand it. Now I'm going to start making some file marks and file away here, and I'm going to keep working a lot more on the cambered side than I do on the face side. And you can see this is cutting quite nicely as I work back and forth. And as I continue to move back on the cambered side, I'm just maintaining that airfoil shape. And you'll notice I'm doing a lot more on the cambered side than I am on the front. And you can see the metal shavings coming off quite a bit. It's actually easier to do this when the propeller is attached to the aircraft. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fast forward the video a little bit and get to the end. So this is just a medium cut, half round file. All right, so now I got this running at twice speed. And you can note that I'm just moving the material a lot more from the camber. Again, you really want to focus on getting that material off of the camber so you can maintain the profile of the blade. And every once in a while, I'm just tapping the file to get the stuff out of it, the peening out of it. You can use a file card for that. Probably better than tapping it. I just didn't have a file card at the time, so if you have one in your box, or we'll get you one when you're going to do this job. One of the things you got to watch out for is as you're filing away at this, if you don't get rid of the peening, you'll get some good scratches in the surface, much more deeper than the file was originally designed to cut. I'll show you a close-up a little later of exactly how I had that happen. You can feel it on the file. It'll start to really grab and put a big gouge into it. So now just musical interlude while I finish this blade off. There we go. Let's have a look there. It's looking good. Profile is still maintained. And just finishing up a couple little smaller touches here. The file, making sure that I've got enough off of the face of the blade. Actually, I had to take a little more off the face so that I can get the curve I wanted. I'll take another look at this. Camera out, and have a look down the profile, and you can see that I've been able to maintain that profile shape. That's what you're trying to do. Next thing we want to do is switch to the sandpaper. So switch to the 180 grit sandpaper, and you're going to sand again, moving the same direction, span-wise, so all movements are span-wise, and remove the file marks. If you have a coarser grit sandpaper, that's fine. You can get stuff done a lot faster by using the grits properly. Start with a low number and work to a high. It's continually working span-wise on the blade. Now, Cars 571 does explain that there is limits to how much damage you can remove. Highly recommend you go to that. It's got area A, B, C, and D. Area A being the root, where no damage is allowed. Very minimal, surface scratches only. And then as you start going out towards the tip, you're allowed to remove more and more material till you get towards 2% of the blade tip, and then you can remove it all. Here's what I was going to show, that there's a big gouge right there from the peening marks. And I'm struggling getting that out of there. You want to make sure you get rid of all of the marks you can with the coarsest grit sandpaper before you start switching up sandpapers. So I just got to go a little more with this grit. And yeah, so you want to carry on with that, and then you're going to switch to the next grit sandpaper to finish the job. So I'm just going to fast forward it so you can see that all happen. As I'm working with the sandpaper, I'm just slowly working it from the one end to the other, just like you would with dental floss. Just making sure I got some fresh sandpaper to work with every time. And just keep motoring along, sanding till you get all the scratches that were in there out. And then I'm just switching to the next grit of sandpaper, and this one won't take long. Once you get all the scratches out with the coarser grit sandpaper, you can really hammer through the different grits quite quickly as you go. There you go. So there's what it looks like when it's finished. Now all it would have to do is paint the propeller to get its surface coatings back. Sometimes you might have to allodyne depending on the propeller, but yep, etch, allodyne, paint, and away you go. And the profile shape is still there, the profile we're looking for. And yeah, there you go. That's how you file a prop.